evening, we'll call to order the April 4th, 2017 regular called board meeting of the Fairfield County School District Board of Trustees. Welcome everybody tonight. There's been appropriate public notification of the meeting, we know. Thank you, Ms. Brown, for that. And there is confirmation of the quorum with 6 members present. I'll entertain a motion to enter executive session in which there will be no action, but legal, personnel, and contractual issues may be discussed.
Madam Chair, make a motion to enter executive session to discuss legal, personnel, and contractual matters.
Second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Frick, Pastor Jackson. All those in favor signify by raising the right hand. Thank you. We will exit executive session no later than 6:30. Entertain a motion to exit executive session during which no action is taken.
Madam Chair, make a motion to exit executive session.
I second.
Thank you, Ms. Frick. Thank you, Ms. Harrison. Those in favor of exiting executive session, please signify by raising the right hand. Thank you. Welcome you again to the April 4th, 2017 regular called board meeting, Fairfield County School Board of Trustees, regular monthly meeting. We will move forward with the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
I'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll remain standing for a moment of silence and reflection. Thank you.
We'll move to the approval of the agenda. There's a motion, or there will be a motion, hopefully, to approve the agenda as presented.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we accept the agenda as presented, providing a second.
Madam Chair, I second.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Thank you, Pastor Jackson. Those in favor of the agenda as presented signify by raising the right hand. We've got 6. Thank you. And we'll move to public comment.
Madam Chair, I've received one public comment. Dr. Mason, who is well aware of the 5-minute time limit.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, the board and the superintendent. How often do we see this room this packed? And it just pleases my heart. It really does. Students, parents, teachers, administrators, it's just heartwarming to see this. Now, tonight, folks, I'm going to be a little different. Every meeting that I attend, I usually have something to say. Now, some of you might be thinking, why is the Janet Mason always have something to say? Well, tonight I just decided I should clarify that. Why is it that I always have something to say? Now, I actually jotted down a couple of things because I only had 5 minutes. So I have to make sure I stay with what I wanted to say. First of all, folks, I want you all to know I spent 43 years as a professional educator. So this is something in my life that is important and has always been very important. Okay? Now, in addition to all those years that I worked as an educator, I have 2 children who went through public education, and most of the time my children went through public education. I had not become a professional educator. I did not become a college student until I was 32 years old, married with 2 children. And I decided one day, when my daughter told me what she wanted to go to college for at 13 years old, and I thought, Lord, I'm going to have to get a better job to help my husband educate these children. And that's when I went to college. Now, therefore, I had the fortune to witness my children going through, and public education meant a lot to me then because of what it influenced in my life. When I looked at the top of your mission statement, skills to be successful, responsible, successful, in a constantly changing global society by providing ongoing opportunities in an atmosphere of excellence. Now, that's what school meant to my children, for me and my children, a long time ago. And therefore, that's why I find it so easy, especially since I only ever have 5 minutes, to say something at every board meeting. I think the board members needed to be complimented, or sometimes not so complimented, but most of the time, they deserve to be complimented. Also, all the administrators, the faculty members, and the influence that you have on children year in, year out. Today, by pure accident, I ran into a resource officer from the high school. I don't know this gentleman. We happen to be at the same office. And I said, tell me, young man, what do you think of your job as a resource officer? And tell me what you think of the children in the public school. And he said, and he knew me, although I didn't know him. He said, Ms. Mason, the children are just wonderful. I said, so you don't have much trouble? He said, no, not really. For the most part, any little misbehavior is just children being children. And he went on to say some other very, very lovely things about, and it made my heart just go. It really did. To hear this resource officer, and we know some of the things that are being not so well said about the behavior of our children. Now, therefore, folks, let me tell you, because I'm just trying to tell you how important school is to me, and because I admire so much what these people are doing to keep our children well educated and on their way to be the best people that they can be. I don't mind stopping a minute to tell you, both my children turned out very well, and my granddaughter, this past May, graduated from college at the top of the class. And so therefore, and they went through public schools, no private schools, public schools all the way through. My grandson is now a junior in college. And the only thing I worry about is he's so crazy about his girlfriend. I hope he doesn't lose track of what school is all about. But he's tall and handsome, and I can understand why he's having a little bit of trouble. Now, therefore, I would never turn down the opportunity to get up here for those 5 minutes and every time I attend a board meeting. There's so many different wonderful things to be said to so many different people about the importance of the school and what it's doing in our community. Don't you folks agree?
Yes, ma'am.
Nothing is more important than what school is doing. Therefore, if you keep thinking, Miss Janet Mason always have to get up there. My friends, you ain't heard nothing yet. Because I expect you to continue to do this. God bless you all.
Madam Chair, members of the board,
I'm going to ask Dr. Martin from Fairfield Elementary School to come join me at the podium. We want to recognize some stellar stingrays. Right. So, yeah, we recognize some stellar stingrays.
Madam Chair, Board of Trustees, Dr. Green, I stand proud today to honor two of our students. First, we have Shamal Siebels. Would you come up, Shamal? Let me tell you about Shamal Siebels. He is a 5th grade student at Fairfield Elementary School, and he represented Fairfield Elementary in the South Carolina Regional Braille Challenge 2017. He was awarded the 2017 Rookie First Place winner in that competition for Braille, and we are so proud of him. He's the son of Mr. and Ms. Sean and Cheryl Siebels. Would you all please stand and be recognized?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Give him
Great
another round
job,
of applause.
And next we have Wanisha Smith. Would you please come forward, Wanisha? She received a prestigious letter from the University of South Carolina Region 2 Science and Engineering Fair stating that her project was considered among all projects in 2017 and was evaluated as creative and innovative. She received the Director's Award from the Regional Science Fair. Her project was Test plus Stress equals Problems. Does your emotions affect your test scores? She is a 5th grade student at Fairfield Elementary, and she's the granddaughter of Miss Minnie Martin. Would you please stand and be recognized? Thank you very much.
Now I'm going to ask Ms. Neely Kelly is going to join me in recognizing all of the academic students of the week so far this year. And those students, we're so proud to announce, with our partnership with Elements Electronics and the Columbia Fireflies, we will be awarding each student a TV and a game ticket to a Fireflies game. So isn't that outstanding? I tell you what.
Apparently you gotta be in the right grade. That's true too.
Okay. Good evening, and we're going to begin our recognition with Fairfield Middle School, Dr. Robin Hardy, Principal. Our first student is Leslie Tapia. She's an 8th grader. Her parents are Arturo and Maria. Leslie is a member of STEM Early College Academy Cohort 4, earning an A in all of her classes. This school year, and she likes to read and draw. Leslie is a member of the Junior Beta Club. Our next student is Paul Ventimilla. He's an 8th grader. His parents are Mr. Juan Ventimilla and Mrs. Venetia Ramirez. Paul is a member of STEM Early College Academy Cohort 4. He is a member of the FMS Academic Challenge team. During his free time, he likes to read and do research on a variety of topics. Our next student is Elena Frick. She is a 7th grader. Parents are Mr. William Frick and Ms. Elena Tudor. Elena is a member of the STEM Early College Academy Cohort 5. She is part of the FCHS track team and the FMS Academic Challenge team. She is a member of the Junior Beta Club and the Superintendent's Student Advisory Council. And she is on a field trip. So we're
It's the only time I'm going to see these things. Don't lay it down.
Our next student is Kylan Gadsden. He is a 7th grader. Parents Charmaine and Mylan Gadsden. Kylan has an AB average in all of his classes and demonstrates excellent behavior and attendance. He is a member of the FCHS JV baseball team and plays the drums and the guitar. He is a member of Cohort 5 of STEM Early College Academy and the Junior Beta Club.
And he's also on the same field trip.
And he's on the same thing. Okay, our next school is McCory Liston School of Technology. Dr. Chandra Bale, principal. Ryan Crumpton, 6th grade student. His parent is Felicia Alexander. Ryan currently serves as president of the Junior Beta Club. He is a self-starter and works hard to reach his academic goals. He is always attentive and willing to put forth the necessary effort to obtain the greatest outcome. Okay, our next students from McCory Liston are Darlinda Davis, a 2nd grader, and she is also not here tonight. Fairfield Elementary School, Dr. Tammy Martin, principal. Eddie English, a 4th grade student. Parents are Kimberly Kincaid and Eddie English. Eddie has shown excellent skills as a writer and has demonstrated all the components of a well-developed narrative. He participates in the classroom and demonstrates leadership skills as perseverance, patience, and flexibility. He was nominated for National Junior Beta Club and the Gifted and Talented program. Okay, our next student is Kendall White Evans, 3rd grader at Fairfield Elementary School. Parents are Antonio Evans and Takesha White. Kendall is a member of the Stingray Chorus and a past member of the Girl Scout troop at FBS. She has been recognized and taken part in the discipline-free initiatives offered at FBS. Kendall received AB Honor Roll and perfect attendance for the second 9 weeks. Our next student is Elena Johnson, a kindergarten student at FBS. Her parents are James Johnson and Jessica Tyndall. Elena not only meets expectations academically, but comes to school every day on time and meets all of her lifelong guidelines.
I want those certificates.
Elena loves ELA. She is a great reader and loves to write in her journal. Our next student is Jaden Cooper, a 2nd grade student. Jaden has been an AB Honor Roll student since the beginning of the school year. He is very respectful, helpful, and considerate of others. Jaden is presently a yellow belt in Taekwondo and looks forward to working hard to advance. Our next school is Fairfield Central High School. Ms. Tracy Swilley, principal. And our first student is Michaela James, a 12th grade student. Parents are Irby Watkins and Robin Gaither. Michaela is the student body president, varsity cheerleader, varsity soccer, National Beta Club, Elite Ladies, Academic Challenge Team, Student Government, NAACP, FCHS Youth Council, and National Honor Society. She is currently ranked in the top 10 of her senior class. Michaela is enrolled in several dual enrollment courses and actively involved on campus and in her community. Our next student is Bailey Gordon, a 10th grade student. Parent, April Gordon. Bailey is an outstanding student who currently has a GPA of 4.588. He is a diligent student who challenges himself by taking all honors classes in the areas of English, math, science, and social studies. He is exploring his options and currently looking at schools such as Harvard and Clemson University. Our next student is China Woodard, an 11th grader at Fairfield Central High School. Parent, Tracy Woodard. China is an outstanding student who currently has a GPA of 4.318. She is a diligent student who challenges herself by taking courses such as AP English, Pre-Calculus Honors, and Psychology 201. China is a member of the Lady Griffin softball, volleyball, and track teams, as well as a member of the National Beta Club. She plans to attend Clemson University and major in mechanical engineering. Our next school is Fairfield Magnet School. Ms. Gail Whitfield, principal. Our first student is Tamia Herbert, a 6th grader. Parent, Cynthia Cohen. Tamia is an active member of the FMSMS Junior Beta Club, the Diamond Cats, and the Lady Link Step Team. She is eager to learn and strives to do her best at all times. She has a respectful demeanor and is helpful to her classmates and her teacher. She is a well-rounded student, excels in academics, and is a role model for her peers.
Good job.
Our next student is Aaliyah Mayfield, a 3rd grade student. Parents, Joanne and Trentonio Mayfield. Aaliyah is a member of the Lady Link Step Team and the Gifted and Talented program. She loves gymnastics. Aaliyah is an usher and sings at church. Our next student is Alexia Hernandez, a 5th grade student. She is the daughter of Victor and Irma Hernandez. Alexia is a member of the Junior Beta Club, the Girls Drum Line, Honors Art, and Chorus. Alexia is a great artist, earning numerous awards for her artwork, such as A Place Called Home, Forward to the Future, and Shade Contest. Alexia dreams of becoming an advocate for the homeless and to be an architect because she enjoys helping others who are in need, and she loves creating fun projects. Our next student is Alvin Wilson, a 5th grade student. Parent, Tangi Wilson. Alvin is an excellent student and a team player. He participates on the drum line, the Blue Gents Step Team, the Choraleers, and band. He enjoys performing and making others happy. Our next school is Giger Elementary School, Ms. Myra Bramlett, principal. And our first student is Patience Cook, a 5th grade student. Parents are Rodriguez Cook and Tasha Matthews, the granddaughter of Jerlene Cook. Patience is a model student and a member of the Junior Beta Club and Honors Chorus. She is also an A Honor Roll and Gifted and Talented student in the Academic Hall of Fame and a Duke Tip Scholar. She enjoys playing softball, reading, playing outside, and singing. Our next student is Morgan Green, a 5th grade student. Parents, Nicole Davis and Tavon Green. Morgan is an honor roll student and in the Gifted and Talented program. She is on Academic Hall of Fame. She scored exemplary in 2 or more areas on state standardized testing and a Duke Tip Scholar. Morgan is also a member of the Junior Beta Club, partakes in various community projects, and recently placed 3rd in ELA at the State Beta Club Convention. Our next student is Jayshawn Manning, 6th grade student. Parents, Stephanie Woodard and Tyrell Manning. Jayshawn is a leader among his peers. He demonstrates his leadership abilities through his membership in the Junior Beta Club, the Geiger Gents, and Safety Patrol. He is also a standout basketball and football player. Our next school is Gordon Odyssey Academy, Dr. Lanisha Tyndall, principal. Zenadia Lewis. Zenadia is a student with a pleasant disposition who has achieved academic excellence and remained discipline-free during the first 9 weeks. Reporting period. Zenadia enjoys reading, designing clothing, and working with technology. She also actively participates in her church youth group, which conducts various community service projects. Jaheim Brown is our next student. Jaheim has achieved academic excellence and exemplary behavior. Jaheim enjoys mathematics, history, science, and carpentry. He also enjoys traveling, playing football, and driving his hoverboard. Jaheim is well-mannered and displays good character. Our next student is Antonio McDaniel. Parent, Nancy Cromer. Antonio is a student with an outgoing personality who has displayed diligence in performing well academically. He enjoys barbering, having fun, and making others laugh. Our next school is Kelly Miller Elementary School, Ms. Kathy Woodard, principal. Our first student is Kylie Curley, a 1st grade student. Parent, Jessica Ginyard. Kylie has earned all A's and is described as intelligent, helpful, and likes to be challenged. She is an active member of the Pom Pom Girl on the Tiger Beats marching band. Kylie displays leadership in many capacities. She sings on the children's choir at church, and she likes reading and writing. Our next student is Jonathan Harris, a 5th grader. Parents, Jonathan and Beth Harris. Jonathan is described as dependable, outgoing, and a true role model. He is a Junior Beta Club member and is on the AV Honor Roll. Jonathan is a 2nd-year member of the concert band where he plays the trumpet and a Beta Club scrapbooking member. Our next student is Shantella Johnson, a 2nd grade student. Parents, Mr. Arthur and Mrs. Cassandra Johnson. Shantella is smart, inquisitive, loves to be challenged, and enthusiastic about learning. She is active in the Cub Choir, a Pom Pom Girl on the Tiger Beats band. Shantella enjoys singing at church, playing basketball, and spending time with her parents. And that concludes our academic students of the week.
You ain't got to leave.
Whatever you come Is that good? Yeah. They didn't count them. What's the- Yeah. Ready to rock and roll? Oh, so what we'll do is, we put it on the May agenda. I can't invite them. Very good. Great, thank you. Thank you for that tremendous recognition and well deserved by the students as well as their guardians, parents, and support staff there in the schools. We'll move on to the board minutes. March 21st, 2017 minutes. The recommendation is that the board approve those minutes from that meeting.
Madam Chair, make a motion, we approve the minutes from the March 21st meeting.
Madam Chair, I second.
Thank you, Mr. Brick, Ms. Harrison. Any discussion on that?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
On the, where they discuss the strategic plan, where I had requested to be taken off the list, and for the reason that, there wasn't a discussion as far as a meeting to discuss what happened in the past year versus this coming year, was not put in the minutes.
Under curriculum and instruction.
It's toward the bottom, about the middle, I guess.
So the motion and second were made that recommendation carried, and what are you asking?
Well, remember I asked to be taken off and I stated why? Can it be put in there why? I can have it.
Okay, thanks.
Can we get a copy of that when it's corrected?
I'm sure we can.
You done? Thank you.
Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, we'll move forward with the superintendent's recommendation to approve the minutes from the March 21st regular called board meeting
Madam
with
Chair,
the,
did you vote on the minutes?
Yeah.
We did? No, did you call it a vote?
I'm calling for it right now. With the correction that Ms. Hartman has requested. All those in favor signify by raising of the right hand. Opposition?
I'm voting against it till I see the correction. I'm voting against it till I see the correction. Thank you.
You want that on the record?
Yes.
Okay. It would be good to say what it is intended for. If you're just saying it is one thing, but if you want it on the record, let's make sure that we understand that. Thank you. Superintendent's report.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I'd like to just bring your attention to the outstanding job Ms. Wallace has done once again, putting together a wonderful newsletter to really highlight all the great things going on in the Fairfield County School District. Just recently, the recognition of students across the entire district who have just done tremendous things in terms of their academic accomplishments, in terms of community service, in terms of leadership. You name it, these students are doing it. This connector contributes to that as well. And particularly, I'd like to bring your attention the back page of the connector that has a list of all the schools and universities students have been accepted to up until this point. And once again, acceptances are still coming in every day. So I think it is so exciting that we have so many of our students who have tremendous post-secondary opportunities. Next, Madam Chair, I would move down to the student appeal hearing request.
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, I hate to interrupt you.
Uh-huh.
When we were talking about student achievement,
Mm-hmm.
it's never come to the board or for them to be recognized, and it has been for the boys' paper for the magnet school, for their award that they received as far as the top state awards for arts and music.
I thought we did bring that to the board earlier, if I'm not mistaken. We did share that earlier. That was several weeks ago we did that.
Well, we didn't have her come and the children come, did we?
I can't remember who came, Ms. Hartman, yeah, but I know we did recognize the magnet school for that award. And in terms of who attended that meeting, I can't remember off the top of my head. But we have recognized them for that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And next, moving down to the next item, student appeal hearing request. And obviously we have discussed that in executive session. It is my recommendation that the board support the superintendent's recommendation and not hear the appeal request.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion, we accept superintendent's recommendation and not hear the student appeal request.
Second that, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Fred, for that motion, Mr. Miller for the second. The discussion occurred because it is sensitive material. It occurred in executive session. So the superintendent's recommendation that the board not hear the student appeal is now under, we will vote on that. Those in favor signify by raising the right hand. Those not to hear the student appeal. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I ask you to approve second reading of the 2017-2018 proposed academic calendar. We did do first reading last month. We are trying to present to you at this point second and final reading of the 2017-2018 proposed calendar.
Madam Chair, make a motion, we approve second reading of the 2017-2018 academic calendar.
I second.
Thank you, Mr. Frick. Thank you, Ms. Harrison. The motion to second are that the superintendent's recommendation that the board approve in the second reading the proposed 2017-18 academic calendar. Discussion or questions?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I know I said it somewhat flippantly last time, but I am kind of serious. Please allow the teachers to see the eclipse. They're probably going to be a little more interested in it than actually the students. So if we could make sure we make some kind of accommodation, so if they want to go out at 2 o'clock to look at it, they may want to do that. As long as they have the proper eye.
No,
We
the
don't
proper
need
eye.
to get injured on the job.
Glasses for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Damage retinas, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Don't want anybody to come back blind.
Yeah.
All right, any other comments on that? Hearing none, the board, the superintendent's recommendation is the board approve the proposed 2017-18 academic calendar. Those in favor signify by raising of the right hand. We've got 6-0. Thank you.
We go on to operations and finance.
Good evening. Good evening. Under operations and finance, the first item that we have is a facilities usage request for Fairfield Central High School. And the superintendent recommends the board approve 3 facility usage requests with waiver of fees for Fairfield Central High School from Believers and Achievers, Fairfield Electric Co-op, and Fairfield Saltahatchee Summer Service.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve all 3 with the requirements that make sure that everything is cleaned up. I don't know how you might do it, but it is a cost to us that we're doing it. The school is doing it, but if they have someone to clean up behind them, then that would be my request, that as long as they clean up behind themselves, then I'm for all 3 for usage of the building.
Madam Chair, second.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I don't think it's actually a conflict of interest, but I do want to disclose on the record, I am a dues-paying member of Believers and Achievers. I don't think that precludes me from voting, but I do want, if anybody has any exceptions to me.
I pay Fairfield Electric Co-op every month.
I did as well.
Madam Chair, that's a suggestion. We miss that meeting every year because we have a board meeting that night. I'd really like to be able to attend that meeting, but you know, if the dates could be changed for another day, that would be great. I don't know if you can ask them that or not, but anyway, I thought I'd mention that. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, my suggestion would be that we get through this meeting quickly, and then there will be time to get up there
No,
to that other meeting.
Oh, I have tried before, but I've never made it for about 4 years now, so.
What time is it, by the way, about 7 o'clock?
It starts at like 6. It's either 4 and 5, between 5:30 and 6.
They're asking for it between the hours of 4 and 8, so that's hard to
I think it's
tell.
over at 8, so not going to be possible.
Okay. Well, their date is set, and as well as ours, so at this point, we can.
Well, is there a way of asking maybe next year? If they look at that as a possibility? Because it's been that way for 4 years, so.
And they probably not going to change.
They're probably not going to.
Maybe we can change that.
When we get ready to vote in July, then that can be something that you could bring up then. Okay?
Thank you.
We've got a motion and a second that the fees be waived and the facilities be approved for usage by the Fairfield Central High School. Facilities be used for Believers and Achievers, Fairfield Electric Cooperative, and Fairfield Saltahatchee Summer Service. Those in favor signify by raising of the right hand.
Who's second? Who's second?
I'm sorry, Pastor Jackson did. Those in favor signify by raising of the right hand. 6-0. Thank you.
The second item in the board packet this evening is a facilities usage request for McCrory Liston School of Technology. And the superintendent recommends the board approve the facility usage request with waiver of fees for McCrory Liston School of Technology from Gethsemane Church and Sunday School Union.
Madam Chair, I want to accept the superintendent recommendation for Sunday School of Gethsemane Church, the McCrory Liston, providing vacation Bible school, providing it second. Use, I guess there would be a use waiver fee.
A second.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Ms. Harrison, discussion or question?
Madam Chair, have they had Bible school there before?
We've accepted this recommendation for several years.
Okay. Before they started using our facility, is there a reason that they don't use their churches?
Madam Chair, I'll respond to that. I'm not sure exactly how many people attend their vacation Bible school, but I would assume, Ms. Hartman, that it is there's a space issue, and so they can accommodate obviously many more students in a much more kind of classroom type environment in a school than they could just in a sanctuary. And so obviously school would work out much better for vacation Bible school than a traditional church.
Well, I'm just asking that because, there's a lot of places that have Bible school and start opening up, the schools. And that's why I asked if there's a particular reason for using the school instead of churches.
And quite honestly, I think it is it is an association. I don't think it's just one church. I think it's kind of a Gethsemane association. So it's multiple churches that come together to do vacation Bible school. And so obviously, just for example, if you had 10 churches come together, there probably isn't any one church that could accommodate all of the students, but our school could.
So Ridgeway does that, and there's 3 of them that go together, and they switch around every year to 2 of the churches out of 3. Anyway, that's why I asked. Thank you, sir.
Let me say this, Madam Chair. Anytime we can get the ministers and the community folks in our school, that's a blessing. And I'm for it. Now, I'm just telling you, I think it's 50. It might be 15, out there in the Blair, Monticello, Greenbrier, but it's a bunch of churches. But they want to come to McCrory Liston, by all means, and teach about God. Absolutely. That's just my take on it.
Well, I have nothing against as far as being a church. I think that's great. I just wanted to ask that question, if there's a particular reason. Thank you.
All right, after discussion, we will move forward on the vote. The superintendent recommends the board approve the facility usage request with the fee waivers for McCrory Liston School of Technology for the Gethsemane Church Sunday School Union, June 25 through 30, 2017. Those in favor signify by raising of the right hand.
Madam Chair, I think it says, does it say Gethsemane? I think it's
Okay, I just read what's there.
Yes, Gethsemane Church and Sunday School Union.
Okay, before we vote again, did you catch that, Ms. Brown? Those in favor signify by raising of the right hand. You got 6-0. Thank you.
The third item in the board packet this evening is a timekeeping contract approval. And the superintendent's recommending board approval of a contract with data management so that the district may implement a timekeeping system.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that recommendation that we approve the superintendent contract with data management, time plus, clock plus, the district to implement the timekeeping system, providing a second. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Miller, Pastor Jackson, for the motion and second. Questions or discussion?
I see it sort of in pricing in between about the middle. Is there any particular reason we didn't go with the low bid?
Yes, ma'am. The score sheet there are several factors that we had to consider. Low bid doesn't necessarily mean that they're the best qualified to provide the services that we need to provide. For example, we do have software that exists, that is our payroll software, and any company that comes in would have to be able to show the ability to have their software interface with our payroll software. So that's one of the factors. There are several other factors in terms of the actual reputation of the company. We check references. Some references were positive, some of them were not positive. So while cost was a factor, it was not the only factor.
I understand. Thank you.
And so, Madam Chair, or Mr. Mayor, sir, Mr. Robinson, year one, okay, and then this is it an add-on for year two? Kind of explain to me.
Sure. This would be a 3-year contract. Year one, the cost is about $71,000. The reason for that is year one would be a year of implementation, which means they actually have to spend time just making sure the system fits with what we want to accomplish. And they'll spend time coming out, doing training, implementing everything. So the cost naturally will be higher in that year. But after that, then the annual cost will be $21,000 per year after that first initial year.
And so, and then it gives the total cost after 3 years, okay?
Correct.
Okay.
Madam Chair, if I may just add something to what Mr. Miller referenced. Also, I'm not sure, rather Kevin alluded to it, but this gives us the ability to really eliminate one position in the finance department. Because currently what we're doing is we are having to basically hand tally all of the hours that are turned in per employee. This gives us the opportunity to really have that done automatically, where we don't need to have an employee to do it by hand. And so this, over the long term, is going to be a relatively significant cost saving.
So this is payroll part.
Yeah.
This is not really, okay.
Any other questions?
The only thing I would like to ask is there any particular reason you didn't bring it forward to the board to let us know that this is something that probably would be needed for the district ahead of time?
No particular reason. I mean, we figured we'd bring it to you when we got all the facts and figures, and now we bring it to you.
Thank you. I'd like to put that on the record.
Can you please restate it?
Well, you can hear it on the video, can't you?
For clarification purposes, Ms. Hartman, I would like for you to restate it if you don't mind.
I was asking Dr. Green why it couldn't have been brought to us prior, saying that it was needed. Thank you. I guess specifically say needed to a timekeeping, better method for timekeeping.
So Dr. Green, Mr. Robinson, I want to ask this question. So I want to make sure I'm clear anyway. For instance, if Ms. Swilly has been in high school and all classified employees, so she had to do it. She does a timesheet for that, so to speak. And I'm just talking about whether it's transportation, maintenance, or whatever. So I'm asking, how is that done?
Currently, all of the employees that have to do timesheets, they do their own timesheets. They fill them out manually, and then those timesheets are given to the supervisor to approve. And then once they're approved, then they're transported to payroll. And the process is a little bit more complex than that. You know, with employees filling out their timesheets, it requires a little bit more time on their hand. You have addition errors. There's chance that timesheets are lost, the supervisor's out the building and the timesheets sit there. Also, from the payroll perspective, they also have to go back and manually recalculate all of the timesheets to make sure that whatever is on that timesheet has been added up correctly. Because of course, we want the pay to be accurate, not more or less than it should be. So all of that requires a lot of time, and there are just a lot of inefficiencies built into that process. This would eliminate all of those inefficiencies and make sure that everything's more accurate. And I can actually say I've heard from principals in the past year or so that just mentioned, just casually, you know, we would love to have a timekeeping system that would keep them from having to manually review the timesheets. And if they're out of the office, they would have the ability to review and approve timesheets even though they're out of the office right now. Right now, if someone's gone, then you have timesheets that sit there, and it does cause a problem when we're trying to get everything finalized for payment.
So is it a card, is it a fingerprint, what is it? I mean,
well, there's several options available. We're looking at using the key fobs that we currently give the employees, and we've already checked the technology works. So it'd be a matter of taking that key fob, which you would use to get into the building anyway, and just swiping that in front of the time clock, and that would clock you in, and the same thing on the way out of the building. But there are other options available, for example, for employees who may be away from the district but still working. There's a mobile app that would work as well, so someone could still record their time even if they're out of the district working, and there's some other options available as well. So we just feel that with the technology, this is a means that would be beneficial to employees. You wouldn't have to remember what time that I work or take time sheets if you're away from the office, and it's just much more efficient and gives everyone a lot more flexibility in terms of approving time and making sure that everything's calculated properly.
okay, one more thing, but the principal or the supervisor has to approve this?
Correct.
Has to, okay. We have a BMI system that everything, you know, ultimately it comes back to the supervisor. He looks over just in case somebody's using somebody's fob, as you say, or you know, keep that.
Right, it would still be approved by the supervisor before we actually pay any time.
Okay.
I was sort of surprised we hadn't already done something like this. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions or discussion? Move forward with the vote. The superintendent's recommendation is that the board approve a contract for data management, Time Clock Plus, so that the district may implement timekeeping system. Those in favor signify by raising up the right hand. 6-0. Thank you.
Now on to the first reading of our fiscal year 17-18 budget. I'll just start off with our revenues, and really our overall budget picture is really not very complex and not much different from last year. Just overall, the budget is increased for revenue and expenditures by approximately $700,000, and that's approximately a 2% increase over the budget as approved last year. From a revenue standpoint, in our general fund, the main reason for the additional revenue that we have is primarily due to our local property tax revenue increase. Now, we're not proposing a millage increase, but the increase is just due to an increase in the assessed property values in the county. So as a result, with the same millage, it's going to generate approximately additional $700,000 in revenue for the district for next year. Also, as I just mentioned, we're not proposing an increase in millage, and also wanted to mention that the last operational increase in millage that we have proposed was 8 years ago for fiscal year 2010. So it's been 8 years since the last operations increase. And I just did a little bit of research, and there have been approximately 59, I think, districts that have increased their operational millage over that time. So that's just a little background on where we stand and compare to other districts over that point in time.
Excuse me, how much did you say this would be an increase?
Of approximately $700,000.
And that was in the budget, or you talking about revenue?
Yes, I'm saying the budgeted revenue for next year will be about $700,000 in total for an increase.
Thank you.
And that's due to a property tax revenue.
Thank you.
Sure. The only really other significant increase that we would have, other than that, about $100,000 in our state residential reimbursements. And just as a reminder, we actually received, several years ago when Act 388 was introduced, they eliminated the operations portion of school district taxes on residential owner-occupied homes. So if you live in your home now, you no longer pay the operations portion of taxes for the school district. Those funds are actually reimbursed by the state of South Carolina. So for next year, it's projected we'll get $2.9 million versus $2.8 million for this current year. The other category where we have other state residential reimbursements of $2 million, that just reflects property tax relief that has been in existence for years. It's pretty much capped at current levels. That's why there's no projected change from this year to next year. And that really sums up the bulk of our revenue increases. We do have other categories of revenue, the Educational Finance Act. And under Educational Finance Act, that's the funds that we receive from the state on a per pupil basis. And we'll receive about $2,000 more projected than last year. And the reason for that is that the formula for the Education Finance Act takes into consideration several things. It takes into consideration the total projected number of students that will be in the state, as well as all of the other increases in student population in all of the other school districts, as well as the school district's ability to generate taxes on their own. And it's a fairly complex formula. So as a result, even though the per pupil amount may increase by the state, that doesn't necessarily translate into a direct increase for every district. It really depends on that formula. But as a result, as I said, we don't lose any money. We'll probably have roughly about the same thing as this year for our Education Finance Act. And then we also have yes ma'am.
Do you think the reason for that is that we're losing students?
No, as I said before, it's really a complex formula. The funding takes into consideration the number of students in all other school districts. It also takes into consideration all districts' ability to generate revenue from their local property taxes. So it's a fairly complex formula. So it's more than whether you are gaining or losing students. There are a number of factors involved in that.
Thank you.
Sure. The other significant category that we have, though, for our revenue in the general fund is our state salary and fringe reimbursement. And that's where we receive funds from the state to help for our employer contributions, for retirement, for employees, and also our health insurance costs. And we also receive approximately about $400,000 to help offset the cost of our bus driver salaries from the state. So just as to summarize, the bulk of our revenue really is coming from, as I said, property tax increases, and that's due to the property tax values increasing. And that provided us with about $700,000 in additional revenue for projected for next year. Now, on the expenditure side of the budget for next year, as always, the biggest category that we have expenditure-wise will be our salaries and benefits. And next year, we don't have a projection, we're not projecting that we'll have a cost of living increase. However, it is required that all of our teachers move up one step on the teacher salary scale, as well as our district employees will also be moving up one step on their district salary scale. So that accounts for the increase in the number of salaries in the district. There are no additional positions this year, so we're keeping the same number of positions as last year. In terms of our benefits, there will be approximately a 1% increase in the district's portion of retirement costs, and about 1.6% increase in the district's portion of our health insurance costs that we have to pay for our employees. And I'm just going to fast forward to show you the amounts. So in total, our salaries and benefits, when we look at the step increases for teachers, employees, the retirement increase that we have to pay, as well as the medical insurance portion that we pay, that the district pays for employees' health insurance, we're looking at approximately $576,000 in increase in salaries and benefits. The other major category that we have where we'll have a change will also be in our purchase services. And in that category, we're looking at approximately additional $200,000. And the increases there are due to we had some employees, some of our department heads that actually reallocated some funds out of supplies and materials into some purchase services categories for technology services, and for some other for some other services, purchase services, technical purchase services. So there was a shift of about $100,000 out of supplies and materials into purchase services categories. And then we also had some additional costs for some other contractual matters under purchase services. So all in all, the major categories, as I said, about $570,000 for salaries and benefits, another $200,000 for purchase services, and then we had a reduction in supplies and materials. I said most of that really was a shift from different supply categories where some of the department heads and some of the principals decided that they wanted to do some things differently and decided to shift some of their budgets into purchase services for different contractual services. But that really makes up the total of the bulk of our increase of the $700,000 in expenditures for the district.
Mr. Roberts, can I ask you a question before you get? Sure. It was right on top of my head, Madam Chair. I didn't see it here. We all right in food services? We didn't have up until a couple of years ago, we was losing money. So are we kind of beeline right across?
We are. We're doing well in that program. And I don't know if you recall that in the budget for this year was the first year, meaning the 16-17 year, that we made a decision not to include $300,000, because typically what we had to do is transfer money to assist the food services program from the general fund.
Right.
So this was the first year where we didn't have to do that based on the profitability of the program last year. And again, it's going to be the same thing. We're not allocating any money to transfer to the food service program. And they actually now have a small fund balance. So even if they did have a loss, they would have room to absorb some of that loss. So that program's doing well.
Okay. One more question I wanted to ask you, and that's about, you were talking about monies that we get from the state. And so is the formula, I know our graduation rate is up so high, okay, it's doing excellent. There's no funding there since we are graduating so many students. They don't give us anything extra or anything like that. I'm Saxon,
No, sir.
It helps on the report card though, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I was just wondering, I mean, if, they should be rewarding good behavior, I mean, if you graduating, 90-some% of your students, look like they would throw something at you. That's just my opinion. I know I'm not down in the state.
Sir, I had a question. Can you tell me right offhand some of the large items that's being requested through purchase services that you were saying?
So, for example,
For example, Ms. Hartman, we have done an excellent job of exposing our students to technology in our instructional program. And obviously, it's good to have technology, but you have to be sure you know how to implement that technology into the instructional program. And so, one thing that we have done is to bring in people to help in that whole process of integrating technology. And so that's one thing that we've done probably much more of than we have in the past, is to not only invest in technology, but invest those resources in the people who can help us implement that technology into the program. So that's an example of things that we have done to increase purchase service.
Okay, thank you. There was something else, but I forgot what it was. Thank you. Can't remember what the other question was.
But in summary, the budget is balanced, and there's no millage increase, as I said before. So we're requesting the first reading approval of the budget of $38,772,653, with the same millage of 203.1 mils. Now, are there any other questions?
This is the opportunity to ask, well, we need a motion.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve first reading of the 2017-2018 budget.
I'll second that, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Frick. Mr. Miller, we'll open it up for discussion. Please ask away. This is the opportunity.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Go ahead.
Mr. Robinson, are we calculating in this the potential unfunded mandate that the state is fixing to send every municipality and every school district regarding the retirement? Is that calculated in the benefit?
Yes,
part?
sir, it is.
Okay.
And that accounts for our increase in retirement costs.
Oh, okay, that's what I anticipated. Do we know how much extra that guesstimate if you need to right now?
I would say about 200,000 is a guess, and yeah, I'd say about 200,000.
Okay. On the food services, we said we're taking out that I'll call it a contingency,
Right.
but 300,000 just in case they didn't break even.
Now, that came out in this year's budget,
Okay.
so I'm just saying we're not doing the same thing. We're not going to put it there again.
Okay, all right, I missed that part. Thank you for clarifying that. Correct me if I'm wrong, is part of the reason why food service is doing better because we're now receiving more federal dollars because of the way we're doing the food services?
I think the way we're doing it is one of the reasons. I also think it's very well managed, and I just think that combination of things has contributed to it being profitable.
But it seemed when we moved to the program, because we're eligible for that to have lunch for everyone,
Correct.
that brought in some more dollars for us. Do we have any sense with the new administration and them talking about cutting all kinds of money? Do we have any sense of whether we're in danger of losing that, or is it just too early to know?
And I can speak to that, Mr. Frick. Part of the conversation is to raise the threshold for who qualifies for community eligibility. And so right now, the threshold may be 50, 40%. I'm not quite sure what the threshold is right now. And so there's some conversation about raising the threshold. And so when I say raising the threshold, in terms of percentage of students in your particular district that have to qualify for free reduced lunch services before you qualify for community eligibility. Our number is so high.
Yeah, if they raise it to 50%.
If they raise it to 70 or 80%, it really wouldn't matter to us. I mean, because we're about at 90%. And so we aren't necessarily in danger. Now, some other districts who may be kind of on the borderline may be in danger of not qualifying, but not Fairfield County.
And I think I ask this question every year, but I'm going to continue to ask it because I keep forgetting it. And I want to emphasize we're receiving more revenue, but there is not a millage increase, so there is no tax increase, so to speak, with this budget.
Correct.
But we're anticipating collecting more revenue through taxes. Now that's on businesses, secondary residence, all that good stuff. Every year I've been here, that value has gone up. Tell me again, how is that value going up?
That's primarily due to BC Summer.
Okay.
Primarily.
So some of their stuff is going onto the books as it goes along, or and I may be getting too detailed.
And I really could not answer that. I do know I get a breakdown of some of the categories, and I know that a part of that value that's going up is due to them. But what portion is due to an old reactor versus a new, I couldn't answer that.
That's fine, that's fine. Okay, but the majority would be BC Summers.
Yes.
What is occurring out there right now?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, I think that's all I got right now.
And Madam Chair, if I may respond, Mr. Frick, one thing that me and Mr. Robinson continue to discuss is, at what point will the value stop going up and begin to decline? And so, we do keep an eye on that, just to ensure that we can anticipate if that begins to happen. And obviously, there are lots of things transpiring at the nuclear plant right now. And so, we are going to continue to keep a watchful eye on the situation, just in the event that things transpire that cause the value to begin to decline instead of increase.
Well, and I would also point out, aside from whatever is increasing the taxes, I believe we've been cut out of whatever new revenue from whatever fee in lieu agreement. So I as a citizen, I certainly hope things turn out well over there, but I don't know that it would have as big of an effect on us as it would for the county. Just my opinion, that's it.
The question I couldn't remember was, I don't know if you can tell me approximately about, have we lost any students this past year?
You mean anticipated for next year?
Well, based on what we've lost last year, in the last couple of years, can you give me an idea?
Yeah, so I can tell you the exact enrollment, Ms. Hart, and the enrollment is down a little bit, but not much. I mean, it's close to where it was last year.
So how much was it last year?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Just a guess?
Not much. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I don't want to just throw a guess out there, Ms. Hart, but I'm not sure.
Can you look that up for the next meeting? Thank you.
Madam Chair, Mr. Robinson, Dr. Green, you know what I'm probably about to ask. So about the bonuses,
Yeah.
Is it budget for the 100 or the 200? So I won't have to come back and make it.
Yeah, and so right now it's budgeted for the 100, Ms. Harrison, which is the same thing that we did last year. Of course, you went and made an amendment that the board supported to increase it to 200 per employee. We just went with the same figure since we didn't have any indication that the board had an appetite to do a change again this year.
Well, I do.
Okay. And so I mean, is there an appetite to change it and modify the budget where it includes the accommodation of a $200 bonus?
Yes, I would like it. In the records.
If it's there, you know,
Yeah, it was there.
I'm sure that it'll be there.
My question would be, are we certain of the change? I heard you say roughly $200,000 to pay the increase in the retirement and so forth. Is that going to affect what we talking about with the budget? With the bonus going to 200?
Well, in order for us to do that, we'd have to look at, obviously, just cutting something or transferring something from another category. I mean, what we have for retirement, that's something we know we have to do. But in order to increase that bonus amount, we just have to look and see, what could be adjusted.
Can you do that? Look and see if it can be adjusted. Thank you.
I think we don't have to have a motion for that, we'll just talk about that at final approval or at the approval process, but I think overall with the head nodding, I think we would all agree we would rather have that in the budget than have to amend the budget come December and have this discussion. I for one am stickler to go with what we have allocated, so I think it's wise to do it now. Thank you for bringing it up.
Madam Chair, on that, how much do we have budgeted now, which is, I guess, what's determined at 100, how much money is that? And so therefore, if you double it, how much would that be as far as what's the increase?
It's about 67,000 currently, so if you double it, about 135,000.
I want to bring it to the board's attention and like it on the record that other districts do not do this. They basically give them raises to make it what they should be making. Thank you.
2 points on that, follow up. I heard many teachers who were happy at that bonus because they worked at other districts, so my opinion was that that was well received, but my question is, how much money are we sending to Chester?
About, this year, I think it's about 540,000 roughly, 540,000.
Are we looking to do that same? I tried to find, I don't know how to find that part of the budget.
It will be probably about the same next year, maybe a little bit more. But that isn't included in the budget. I think
no doubt about that. I just didn't know what line item I was looking at. But
legitimate point, Dr. Green, you know where I'm going, is that is all that verifiable? I mean, where we wanted, Ms. Bush knows that it's that for a fact, but just something they throwing out.
Well, and so a couple of points, Mr. Miller. That figure has been steadily declining over the last 5 years, and I think my first year here, it was probably over $700,000 if my memory serves me correctly. So it's probably down to at least 100 plus, if not more, because the number of students who are being served in that Midford area has been declining. So we have received some of those students back. I'm not quite sure, why it's continuing to decline. But to answer your question, we do verify, and so whenever they send it to us, if there's anything that appears to be somewhat, inconsistent, then we do some follow-up to determine whether those are students who are actually being served in the Midford area. With that said, I mean, it is a certain amount of, it is pretty tough to verify, as you can imagine, if you sit saying, J.R. Green is a 5th grade student that lives at this address in Midford, it can be pretty hard to verify whether that is actually the case. And so we have had some situations where we've been able to present evidence that what they presented wasn't actually accurate, and they have made some adjustments. but we do our best to verify that what they sent is accurate.
Legwork?
Ms. Bush does. Yes.
I
got no little things.
Oh, yeah, and so,
Well, from my understanding, you tell me if I'm right, Dr. Williams, Mr. Robinson, that actually that money comes from Treasury. So she sends it out, it don't directly come from us. Is that correct? Or we both have to sign off on it? But then we get the money. I'm just asking.
The money goes to the treasurer from our state funds. However, the treasurer has done an excellent job. She doesn't send the money out until I actually tell her that we verified everything, and then she sends it out.
That's what I need to know, Mr. Robinson. Okay, yes, sir.
And you said how much we spent last year as far as last time we were notified on?
how much did we send Bedford?
Yes, sir.
It was roughly $540,000.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the board, a couple of things I want to, really one thing I want to bring to your attention. Even though we are not adding any FTEs to the budget, we are adding some different positions to the budget. And so the reason it doesn't result in FTEs is because we're just shifting some FTEs from some other locations to accommodate those additional positions. And so there are 3 positions that we're adding. We're adding a Spanish
Can I ask you a
position.
question?
Okay.
What is that, FT?
Okay, a full-time position. Okay, yeah, pardon me, yeah. So just a full-time position. And so we are adding a Spanish position at Deed Elementary School. We're adding a dance position at Kelly Miller Elementary School. And we are adding a STEM coordinator / math instructor at Fairfield Central High School. And that's primarily a function of the increase in dual credit opportunities that we're providing. Just requires that we have an additional position in the math department, and with all of the cohorts who are currently there working to earn their associate's degree in science, we need a person who's at least part-time working to manage that whole process.
And just a comment on that, in that regard, I don't well, let me say it a different way. I'm hoping that what we're doing with STEM and so forth, and having success with it, will make some of those Memphis people come back. Because I don't think Chester can compete with us. Yeah.
Well, you know, Pastor Jackson, it's funny you asked that, because I remember Mr. Frick sent me a link to a story back here a few months ago where Chester had begun a early college program in Chester. And so they were sending that information out to all the residents to encourage them to come and learn about it. And so obviously that's what will happen, Pastor Jackson. If there is a cutting edge program here, Chester will say, well, in order for us to kind of maintain our enrollment so students don't do what you say, we'll try and replicate the program to tell kids, hey, you have the opportunity to do this in our district.
Right. Yeah, because I know when I was the attendance coordinator and I was dealing with that, those folks were there fits when you go there talking about coming back this way. They didn't want to hear nothing about that.
But Pastor Jackson, I tell you, I mean, just today I can think of 2 students that were formerly being served in Chester who are from the Midford area that I saw just today in visiting schools who now go to school in Fairfield County. And so we are getting students to come to our district.
Along that, I don't want to belabor this, but just on to your point, I've been watching this over the last couple of years, and as Dr. Green has talked about, Lexington County is trying to figure out how to replicate what we're doing.
Yeah.
I saw a nice article in the state newspaper where they were talking about Midland school districts, and it's absolutely amazing. Every time something bad happens, Fairfield is in the middle. But when there's something positive, somehow we move to the upstate. And it's really frustrating. So they didn't include us at all. They talked about all the great things going on in Kershaw and how they were starting an early college program. They started talking about Lexington, and they were in their first cohort of this program. And they talked about all these things, and it didn't mention Fairfield at all. So apparently it's incumbent on all of us to know, to get the word out in the community that, you know, if you put your child in the Fairfield County School District, you have the opportunity to get 2 years of college education at no cost to you. And that's not an opportunity that you get in other places. The Lexington stuff that you're paying per credit hour.
That's right.
I saw up in Indian Land, and I know we like to compare ourselves to districts in the area. They are starting it, and it's a cost per credit hour. So, I mean, is it something, and honestly, all truthfulness, I do have a vested interest in the program now, but it is absolutely amazing what we are providing for our students. As you talk to people out there, they don't fully grasp the opportunities that are available here. And I am trying to do a good job of doing that. I hope everybody else, and I know everyone in this room is, and I just commend everybody for the work they've done in that. It is absolutely incredible. And I've spoken too much.
If I can follow up what Mr. Frick said, I think it's important to note that this year alone, we offer 14 dual credit courses at Fairfield Central High School. And that's not just the students who are part of the Stimulated College Academy. That's for students across the board. And this partnership has provided that kind of opportunity where a student who may not have been a part of the Stimulated College Academy now can take astrology or anatomy or English 101 or Math 110. You know, I was talking to a young man's mother earlier this week who's going to be taking English 101 at Fairfield Central High School. He's not a part of the program, but what is happening is exactly what we're hoping would happen, is when that partnership provided those opportunities at our high school, then students across the board will begin to leverage those opportunities. And so that's why we have more students now than maybe we ever have who are taking advantage of dual credit opportunities.
Perhaps it would be helpful if we use the connect to the next team in some way to say something like, I saw it's a restaurant in Ridgeway, in Blackwood, and it's right there by that little nursery right there on 21. And when I went in there to the restaurant, they had a big sign that the best kept secret in Blackwood. And so I'm saying that Fairfield County is the best kept secret in South Carolina. Maybe even the whole country.
I like that, Rick.
See, maybe we need to advertise this thing, let folks know what's going on. We get all the bad press, let's get some good press for a change.
Dr. Green,
Yeah.
do you happen to know what students are graduating and going into careers that they took at the Career Center?
When you say what students, I'll follow your question.
The students that we have that are taking classes at the Career Center, do you have like a guess figure of how many students are actually going into those fields?
No, ma'am.
Okay, because I assume that that's another good of our county is that we probably have the most updated Career Center at this point. Thank you.
And again, I don't want to belabor this, but I do want to follow up because I remember going 2 years ago to a conference in Greenville. We're bragging on their program. I told Dr. Green about this. They were bragging on how if you combine this, this, and this, and this, you can enter college as basically a second year freshman or something like that. It wasn't quite what we can offer. But one of the things they were bragging on, and it kind of brought you to my mind, Ms. Hartman, because I remember you talking about this. They were bragging on their fire program. And I was going, well, we've got that as well. So, I mean, you know, yes, we do have a facility that's second to none over there, and I think we need to celebrate it as well.
Well, they had some board meetings in Greenville, Greenville School Board. So I know that they had some contact, studied Fairfield County, and I'm sure that you told me about the story that was the one of the board down in Pittsburgh.
It's Village Tech. It's a Village Tech.
Go right now, because I want to hear that.
Well, You know, as you may know, I presented down at the National Technical Colleges Conferences, National Technical College Conference in New Orleans on last year. And our meeting prior to traveling to New Orleans, I met with the chairman of the board for Midlands Technical College. And so he was talking about this early college program that they were doing in Lexington County, and he was proud to see that we were replicating what they were doing in Lexington County. And I really didn't get an opportunity to speak, but Dr. Raines, who's the president of Midlands Tech, corrected him and said, well, I just need to correct you, they aren't replicating Lexington. Lexington is replicating them. They began this program years ago, and he was somewhat shocked by that. But as I said, we definitely have put together some very cutting edge things in Fairfield County that our residents should be most proud of.
Dr. Green, I would be interested, I don't know about the rest of them, if possible, as I was saying, if we could find out, you know, what students leave graduating with going straight to a job from the Career Center, and also possibly going on to, you know, extend their education and what they started at the Career Center would be great to know, if all possible.
And so Ms. Hartman, you know, in terms of who is a completer, that's information that we can readily provide. In terms of whether they go into a specific field, that's a little different. I mean, because, I mean, let's say I have a young man who graduates and moves to Texas, okay? You know, rather he's working in welding or auto mechanics or working as a barber. I mean, we just don't have access to that kind of information. You follow me? So it's not that we would want to provide it. I mean, no one is obligated to provide that information to us. And so when students graduate, we don't know where they go sometimes or what particular field they're working in.
Well, I agree. You won't know. But could we maybe ask them, just like you're saying, you definitely know, or you don't really know, but you get records that they're going to this college. Maybe ask the students, you know, what's your intention? You know, they don't have to tell you, but you know, I just think it would be great to know if they're going on to something like that, if they choose to tell us. Thank you.
Yeah, and very often, Ms. Hartman, you know, these decisions are not made until, you know, very late in the process, and students go to college and not quite sure what they plan to major in. Sometimes they say I'm major in X, Y, and Z, and it changes 2 or 3 times. So yeah, that's a little difficult to try and ascertain that kind of information.
Madam Chair, Dr. Green, I know I mentioned it to you several years ago and probably mentioned to Ms. Reed. The Hall of Fame is a real good thing that you're doing with the people in the community, but I also mentioned to you about the children that graduate from here. We should think about doing a Hall of Fame for them, because we do have a lot of kids that actually graduate from here that's doing very well. And I mentioned to you about Misha Sloss, and my daughter graduated the same year, 2009. One went to Duke, she went to Duke. Misha Sloss graduated from law school from there. She's practicing law now. She passed first time around. My baby went to North Carolina State. She just got a job. They hired her at North Carolina State. She's testing on animals now. A young lady in Georgia got her law, she passed. You know, and they kids text me all the time what they're doing. I keep up with a lot of them. So that's something we should think about doing in the future, getting a Hall of Fame for the kids that's already graduated from here. And that way, that would give these young people that's graduating now something to look forward to. You know, they can recognize some of these kids that's already graduated.
You give me another task, Ms.
I'll help you with it, though. Ms. Wallace, Mr. Martin, be on it too.
Back to the budget discussion.
Volunteer.
We're in the middle of budget discussion. Does anyone have anything else to ask or comment on as far as the 2017-18 budget?
I would like to suggest that we still have a work session, because I think that's something that we should really be looking into closer when we do that.
it's up to the board. You know, we've got ample opportunities to ask lots of questions here, and at the next reading, I'm you know, kind of don't want to waste anyone's time, but I'm certainly open to that if that's what the board wants.
I make a motion to have a work session for the budget.
That's not going to be an action item. We need to just kind of have
Okay,
head
thank you.
nodding or something like that. We're not going to be able to act on that. So, you know, like I said, it makes no difference to me. We can do whatever. I just don't want to waste anyone's time. And you know, we've gotten lots of questions answered here today. We've got lots of information. You know, my suggestion would be to you know, send those questions on and let us get them answered at the second reading. But whatever everybody else wants to do, certainly open to organizing that.
And Madam Chair, members of the board, it is important to note that we have to do 3 readings. We have to do 3 readings of the budget. So this is only the first step in this process. If that helps you out at all, to know that we'll have the same conversation next month and the month after.
We'll have the next meeting will have all the same opportunity to ask the questions.
I would also point out that we're missing 1 member, so I don't know that I want to set that date. I'm not saying I would be opposed to it. I just, since we have 3 readings, perhaps we could revisit that for the next meeting, just so we have everybody here. I don't want to schedule it and then, just be a conflict.
I agree, not schedule it, I'm just saying, suggest to have.
So we'll just talk about it at the next meeting. But prior to that, I would just like to reiterate, you have ample opportunity now. The budget's in front of us, and will be for the next month, or actually about 6 weeks. It'll be a longer period of time since this is an early meeting. So any questions that come up, be a great time to jot them down, send them over, get them answered, or just hang on to them until the meeting. So we'll go ahead with the vote for the first reading. Superintendent's recommendation is that the board approve the 17-18 budget in the amount of $38,772,653. Those in favor signify by raising the right hand. You've got 6-0. Thank you.
I'm just recommending that because of the fact that, you know, this is a large thing that we do, and I think we need to really look at it closely. I'd like to put that on the record. Thank you.
Move on.
Good evening. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. Under Human Resources, the first item is certified resignations and terminations, where the superintendent recommends board approval for certified resignations, terminations for current staff members who will not return after the conclusion of the 2016-17 academic year.
Madam Chair, make a motion we approve the professional certified resignation terminations in Exhibit 1.
For second, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Frick. Mr. Miller, since this is a personnel issue, obviously there will not be discussion. This recommendation is that the board approve the certified resignations and terminations for current staff who will not return at the conclusion of this current 16-17 academic term. Those in favor signify by raising the right hand. We've got 6. Thank you.
Next for your approval are certified recommendations, where the superintendent recommends the board approve certified staff members for academic year 2017-2018.
Madam Chair, make a motion to approve certified recommendations in Exhibits 2A, 2B, and 2C.
Madam Chair, I second.
Thank you, Mr. Frick, Pastor Jackson, for that motion and second. We'll move forward with those 3 categories. The superintendent's recommendation is that the board approve certified staff members for the academic school year 2017-18. They're listed in 3 exhibits: current staff, new hires, and new hires working retirees. Those in favor signify by raising the right hand. Got 6, Ms. Brown. Thank you. Thank you. I have very little to updates and announcements. I hope everyone completed their statement of economic interest. If not, go ahead and write your check and complete it anyway. Did you get yours?
Yeah. I have a question about that. My name is on this thing. I've already done what I was supposed to do, but my name wasn't listed before, it's not listed now.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they get that list. They send a list and it has folks that even have just applied to be on the ballot. Some of them too. It's a very confusing list. I would agree. I don't go by the list. I just go by that we know we get the notification ourselves.
You should get an email from.
Right. Oh yeah, you'll get the notification for the $100 fine. And again, Ms. Brown, we appreciate you putting all those spring events upcoming that are in there. We get lots of emails, and it's nice to see all that compiled in one particular section there. So that's appreciated. On the next, on our May agenda, we will we'll have the board policy, the section B that we worked on, those revisions. I'll get that combined and get that on the agenda, and we can move forward with that one, as well as the board compensation issue. We'll have that on the May agenda. So the May meeting is 16th, so about 6 weeks instead of 4, since this is an early meeting. And then obviously the board travel is there next. So the timeline for the budget hearing is on there, the public hearing, as well as the 3 readings of the budget for the normal board meeting on there as well.
Are we doing award stuff at that meeting too? I think I remember last year there was the awards and a budget meeting kind of got together and stuff.
It's a collision.
All night. No. Okay. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
as we're doing the budget, last year I made reference to the summer programs for the students that suggested that we do it for all the students and not just the upper level students. Where we can look at that and see, you know, I don't know whether Dr. Green's looking at that or not.
Yeah, Ms. Hartman, I've not received any recommendation from CNI at this point about what summer programs we have scheduled for this summer. But I will most definitely bring that to the board once it has been finalized.
You know, something like that would definitely make a difference in our budget. So this, to me, would be a good time to check on it, is my suggestion.
Yeah, but that's likely to address the current budget, not next year's budget. So we're talking about summer programs. I'm assuming probably most of those funds would be encumbered out of this year's budget.
Okay. I understand what you're saying. Well, I'd appreciate it if you could look at that. I know at one time we did do something for all the students that was interested in doing something. You know, and we had them at schools, different schools, for the kids to come in. I think that would be great to try to help all the students.
Yeah, so and just for clarification, Ms. Hartman, I mean, there were multiple things going on other than programs for advanced students. I mean, we had summer reading camp for students who were identified as struggling readers. We had summer school for students who really needed a program in order to be promoted. So the suggestion that it was only for advanced or students who were the top students simply wasn't the case.
Isn't the summer reading program at home done? Is that, am I not correct on that? Okay. Well, I didn't realize that. I know I asked the question about it, and you told me yes, it was only for the upper level. So that's why and I brought it up then. But thank you.
Anybody else for the good of the group or the audience? Thank y'all for staying.
But Madam Chair, members of the board, I can just add one thing. I've been getting text messages from some of my superintendent colleagues. Apparently there's some pretty significant weather that is making its way.
I just sent an email.
Through the Midlands, and so we'll probably, I've not had an opportunity to, obviously, to look at the forecast at this time, but we're probably going to go with the early dismissal tomorrow, based on what I'm hearing from some of my colleagues.
It's got Lexington 1, 2, 3, and 5 between 10:30 and noon. They're dismissing. Yeah. It's a state article. I just sent you an email. All right. Hearing no further discussion, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you, Pastor Jackson. Thank you, Ms. Harrison. Those in favor signify by raising right hand. Right? Yep, thank you. Y'all have a good night.
Yeah, that's what they, I didn't read the article, right?
I didn't think the computer not at 10 days.
You'll get lunch. There it is. Oh, yeah, got Lex 1, 11, high school, staggering. That's what it is.
Get it back.